on her cell phone. But welcome, 2016 February. It is a wonderful, wonderful time to be able to go out and make it happen for those families who are looking for you to help them. Playa del Carmen in Mexico is our Gordon trip. The video that you saw here in 2016, just coming up in a couple months. In 2017, our IT department, I've swamped them so much. They are still working on a flyer for our Vegas trip for this first quarter. But in 2017, we are going to be able to share with again, I am confident it's going to be well over 100 agents just on our mortgage protection team. We're going to go to Grand Cayman Islands and have a celebration for just 60,000, guys. 60,000. It's going to be ridiculous when you hear some of these numbers on our leaderboard. They've almost taken care of half of the contest in 1 week. And I get some of these comments of, is this real? Guys, this is real. You wait till you hear our leaderboard this week. But 2017 Grand Cayman Islands. Right now, we're in the middle of our Las Vegas trip. Almost in the middle. February 15th will be the middle, and it's still not too late. You hear the numbers of this week, you can go out and do this next week. It'll take you a couple weeks to be able to get enough leads in, but we have 20,000 issue paid dollars is all that is required to get you to Las Vegas. And there's several hotels for you to choose from, but it'll be a Las Vegas trip for $20,000 issue paid by March 31st. Lord willing, we'll have a flyer up on our email that you register by this webinar / conference call each week. But Las Vegas trip you can go out, and I actually had fun in Las Vegas and did it in an ethical way, so it really can be done. Las Vegas isn't just a den of thieves and heathens, and you'll find those there too. But the Forester's trip, 80,000, basically 80 applications from now to the end of the year, and you're going to be able to bless someone, a friend, a spouse, if you're married preferably, on an 8-day Alaskan cruise in the spring of 2017. It's American Amicable. If you focus with approximately 80 average applications from now to the end of the year, you will qualify for a trip to Barcelona, Spain. And then for our Phoenix right now going on, if you are writing Phoenix, start looking at those e-applications for the Phoenix Express. 15 Phoenix Express applications, e-app. So you've got to go online to be able to do this qualification. 15 e-apps will get you a $250 Amazon card, basically $250 cash. You do 30 of them, that'll get you a $2,000 trip voucher. Some exciting things, guys. I'm hoping that you're in it for a whole lot more than just the trips and the money, because I guarantee you, if you are in it for more than the trips and the money, the trips and the money will be right behind it. Isn't that silly how that works out? But if you're in this to protect those families because you care enough that you're going to go out of your way and help by protecting the families out there, you will be able to just, again, absolutely make it happen. I don't see Becky joining us, so you guys may be stuck with my voice going over the leaderboard this morning. But let me see. Becky, if you have connected without putting your name on here, please take over if you're there with us. Well, bummer. Okay, you're stuck with me, guys. Let's go directly to our top annuity producers for the second week of February. And I hate reading my name off, but you guys will probably only hear my name for maybe the balance of this year, and then I'm going to be taking myself out of personal production. But we're going to start with our top annuity, unless I see Becky in here. And I do not. So our top annuity producers for the second week of February, number 5 in the nation. And remember, we've probably will have anywhere from from 30 to 50 annuity producers in a week. We're just taking those who have hit 100,000 of submitted annuity business. So number 5 is Tim Lankford with 1 annuity submitted for $100,000. Number 4 in the nation is Thomas Favada. Thomas did 2 applications of 2 annuities for $110,000. Number 3, you're going to hear her name a couple different times this morning and actually be able to even listen to her, is Danielle Byrne. Danielle submitted 2 annuities for $139,000. Remember, these agents write mortgage protection business. Now, a couple of names that you're going to hear are annuity producers. But for me and Danielle, those were found from writing a mortgage protection policy. Eric Coons comes in at number 2 in the nation with 3 submitted applications, 3 submitted annuities, and Eric is also on our mortgage protection team. But again, he's taking the blinders off and he helps people where they need it. Guys, 3 submitted annuities for $260,000. Number 1 is pretty impressive. William Schmidt, he submitted 4 annuities this last week for a total of $337,991. I'm going to go all the way down to number 5. Use my numbers this last week. What you get paid. If you don't know how annuities work, plug into Lisa Heron or Christy Sparks here on our team at Gordon Marketing. They will be tremendous resources for you to help you with your annuities. That $100,000, multiply that approximately, if you're on a starting annuity contract with us, you're going to be somewhere around a 5% contract level. You start to grow your annuity business, you can get as much as 7 and 8 and 9%. But let's just say you're on a starting contract of 5%. What William did this last week, he just put in his pocket about $20,000. So is it worth it to try to help your families with annuities? Oh my goodness, absolutely. You might hear a little bit of that from our Tuesday webinar. One of our key annuity companies is North American. So next week on Tuesday, we're going to be talking about index universal life products and how to incorporate that into your mortgage protection. Incredible opportunity for you to be able to almost double your income when you are on the now Becky, you say that you're on, but I don't see your name, so I can't unmute your mic. Did you go underneath an alias? Because I'm looking for Becky, because I'd rather hear you talk about doing the leaderboard for the life than myself. Well, bummer. Okay, so we're going to go over to the life producers for the second week of February. Number 21 in the nation. Let me see, because I would much prefer Miss Becky to be here, but I'm going to go ahead and read this off myself. And so number 21 in the nation is R.L. Braxton. R.L. did 1 application this last week for $1,212. So we really just start with, people who have submitted at least $1,000. We have quite a few agents who are submitting, just applications, just getting started. But you won't hear your name announced just for the sake of time until you hit that 1,000 in 1 week. Number 20 in the nation is Jenna Woodward. Jenna submitted 1 application for $1,500. Number 19 in the nation, it was Nicholas Abeledo. Nicholas did 1 application for $1,680. Number 18 in the nation is Kevin Kennard. Kevin, we had fun down in New Orleans. Kevin came in at number 18 for $1,800 in submitted premium this last week. Randy Patrice, another one down in New Orleans with us, did 1 application this week for $1,895. Paul Michael Brown came in at number 16 in the nation for 1 application, $2,019. At number 15 in the nation is Greg Greenwald. Greg did 2 applications this week for $2,101. Then number 14 in the nation is Robin Armstrong. Robin did 2 applications this last week for $2,267. Then Greg Stanley came in at number 13 in the nation with 4 applications. So he helped 4 persons, or possibly wrote a second application of accidental on the same client, but he had 4 applications for $2,344. So let me just stop there and tell you of how the life portion works. We talked about the annuity. Real quick on the life portion, what you're hearing here is basically what people are making. So these numbers that you're hearing at $1,212 by RL at number 21 in the nation, he's on a clip, if he just did that each week, to be over $50,000 of income for 2016. So when I started with number 16 in the nation, Paul Michael, with 1 application for $2,019, Paul is on a clip to make over $100,000. So when I say number 3 in the nation, or excuse me, number 12 in the nation, Charles Fisher, 4 applications for $2,564, multiply that times 52. So now we're finally getting on that clip of where I think everyone on this call can be for 2016 is $116,000 in 2016. Number 11, Fred Riddle, who was another person that we had fun down in New Orleans. I guess it's New Orleans, one syllable. Sorry about that. Number 11 in the nation came in with 1 application for $3,435. Multiply that times 52 weeks, guys. That's a nice income. I came in at number 10 in the nation with 2 applications for $3,590. Number 9, Jonathan. Now, are you hearing a little bit of a theme going here? Jonathan was also down in New Orleans with me. He did 3 applications this last week for $4,054. Just like our agent this morning that's going to be on our phone call, she did over $200,000 in personal income last year. Jonathan is on that clip with that week to be over $200,000. And Jonathan's number 9 in the nation. So for you naysayers of, hey, does this really work? My goodness, guys, just this week, we had over 9 people on a 200,000 plus income track for this year. Number 8 in the nation, David Johnson. 8 applications for $5,780. Josh Sivak, you hear him on this phone call oftentimes. 10 applications this last week for $7,015. Isn't this ridiculous? We're way down at number 7 in the nation, and we're over $7,000 in a week. Andre Dane, a part of Josh Sivak's team. That probably didn't make Josh very happy that he put in more applications than Josh, and he had more submitted premium. Andre did 13 applications this last week for $7,186. You'll hear her name again. You remember that I was talking about our number 3 in the nation for annuities? Well, guess what? Number 5 in the nation on submitted premium for life apps. 6 applications by Danielle Byrne, $7,281. Way to go, Danielle. We'll hear a little bit more of how she did that. Alexander Joyce, 17 applications this last week for, okay, guys, this is number 4 in the nation. Check out this number, $16,000, 637. Number 4, not number 1. Number 4 did $16,000 of premium. Number 3 in the nation is Kevin Bianchi. Kevin submitted 18 applications for $17,000. I'm sure Alex was thinking, yeah, I'm number 1. Look at that, $16,000. Sorry, Alex, you're number 4. Kevin did $17,002 of premium this last week. That only got number 3. Number 2, Talia, I know she in her heart said this is number 1 because with 9 applications and $23,573 of premium would for sure get number 1. Actually, this week it was only good for number 2. On the Danielle Byrne team, yes, you heard me right. Danielle being number 5 with $7,000 of premium and over $100,000 worth of annuities. One of her agents is number 1 this week. Leslie Schofield Hilliker came in with 12 applications this week with submitted annualized premium of $25,231. All right, guys, you not only need to hear from an agent who is making it happen for her personal income and making it happen for her family. Remember, those first things are taken care of. For those first things, 2 things are taken care of because Danielle is an agent who is making it happen for families in the field. And Danielle, sometimes the phone doesn't. Oh, I think maybe, do I have you on the phone, Danielle?
I am on the phone. Can you hear me clearly?
I can hear you clearly. Sometimes the phone doesn't always connect very well, but guys, this is a dear friend of mine, only familiar with Danielle and Bobby, her wonderful husband, for about the last year, but I count them already as dear friends because of knowing Danielle's heart for the Lord and for others, for her charity work. Beyond all of that, for her dedication to go and try to help families in the field. Let me introduce you to Danielle Byrne.
Thank you for that crazy introduction. If at any time you can't hear me clearly, let me know. I have a lot of information that I want to pack into a short period of time, and if I'm correct, we are going to try to cover final expense and perhaps final expense when it's a mortgage protection lead and vice versa. Is that correct, Tim?
Absolutely. You are right on it.
Okay. So, there are times in this business when we have a mortgage protection lead and we're thinking in our minds, okay, this is a simplified issue term product. It's not that simple, and if it were that simple, then there wouldn't be, a limited number of agents that are writing a lot of premium. I do have to say, before I really delve into that, when I heard you reading those numbers, I just can't get over how lucrative this business is and how crazy. I mean, it is like a joke. I mean, but it's so serious. It's like if you just put one foot in front of the other and you sit back and you realize you don't know everything, you have a chance of success. And average people who maybe or may not have bachelor's degrees, master's degrees, whatever the case is, can make $100,000+ a year and make their own schedule. I mean, it's insane. I love it, and I'm grateful to be here and grateful to be on this call. And so, yeah, like I wanted to say, when you call and you dial and you make your appointments, one of the things that kind of irritates me a little bit is when I'll have an agent come to me and say, well, I've got this mortgage protection lead, and Bob is 70 and Mary's 68, and what do I offer them? I mean, the reason I don't like questions like that is because we do simplified issue business, okay? And you don't know if Bob and Mary are going to be there, number one. Number two, you don't know if you're even going to sit down with them, and you don't know if they're going to let you in the house. I mean, there's so much that has to take place before you're actually sitting down. They may have $300,000, $500,000 whole life policies, and you find an annuity. So I don't like to project before I get into a home because I do believe my skill set is strong enough to be able to handle any situation. And if your skill set is not yet strong enough to handle any situation, all you do is you find somebody that you trust who's successful in the business. You tell them when you're going into an appointment. And right when you're getting ready to suggest the product, you just tell them, I'm going to make a phone call here to one of my senior underwriters. Just make sure that I can make the best professional recommendation for you and your family. They don't know that. They don't know what that means. They just feel special because you're making a phone call. So, that being said, if your skill set isn't that strong yet, it can become strong. But let's say that there's a lot of things to consider when you have a mortgage protection lead in your hand, and you find out that when you get there, not only are they aging, okay, not only are they maybe 68 and 70, but they're also banged up health-wise, okay? If they've had a heart attack 3 years ago, he's not getting mortgage protection, okay? You don't tell him that. You don't tell Bob he's not getting mortgage protection, okay? You've got to be able to sit down and relate with people and uncover where the need really lies. So one of the things that I have found very, very beneficial when I'm in a mortgage protection appointment, that the person really and truly is only going to get final expense. Like I said, the first thing is you don't tell them what they can and can't qualify for. I've made that mistake before. People don't want to hear what they can't get. You also want to position it as, you're really asking about the mortgage, and I do recommend this for final expense as well. I mean, if you're in an apartment and you know that they're renting, don't ask about the mortgage. I mean, hopefully that's normal, common sense. But if they are in a house, find out about their equity, because you've got a mortgage protection lead in front of you. And let's say, we're going to use real round figures here, real easy numbers. Let's say that they owe $100,000 on the mortgage. It was a refinance. And you say to them, hey, Bob and Mary, if you were to sell this house right now, what's it worth? And when they overinflate the market value of their home, it's really good for you, okay? It's really good for you because it builds your case even stronger. So let's say that they say that this house is worth $200,000. You know it's not, but just let it ride, right? Okay, oh, it's worth $200,000? Okay, so, and then, the way you do this is up to you, but you can draw, $100,000 on the lead, or you can put a little bag with money sign in it, and you can refer to that as their $100,000 because it's their equity in the home, okay? And we use this later in the presentation to build on why that home and saving that home is so important, okay? So let's say that you find the equity. Another thing that's important is to ask them, especially if they're older, are you staying here? If it's a young mom with 3 kids and a young husband, I mean, chances are she's probably going to try to stay there. School districts, and, they're familiar with their friends and all this other, all this other stuff that usually keeps people there. But if they're older and they're aging and it's a 3-story house with steep stairs, I mean, they might not stay there. So don't get all caught up wondering, am I going to be able to cover their $300,000 mortgage when they might not even want to stay there. Bob may say, if Mary passes before me, there's no way I'm still mowing this lawn. I mean, that might happen. And Tim, am I too far off the beaten path? Did you want to redirect me?
You are 100% on it. No, don't stop.
Just making sure. Just making sure. Okay, so we got, are you staying here? And this is basic knowledge too. We are life insurance agents that help with retirement income planning through indexed universal life and, secure, safe growth through annuities. But we need to know about certain other things that operate in our economy, and you need to know about Social Security. Okay, now do you need to know every detail? No, not at all. But you do need to know that they're not going to get both Social Securities when one passes away. They're going to get the higher one, okay? 9 times out of 10 when I'm sitting down, Bob's Social Security is higher than Mary's. It's just the way it is. So when Bob passes, yes, Mary's going to get his Social Security, but Mary's not going to get her Social Security. So let's say it's real simple, again, round numbers. We've got $2,000 a month coming from Bob, and we've got $500 coming from Mary. She worked inside the home her whole life. She raised the children. So that's still a $500 pay cut for the house. And forget about if they have a pension. You have to ask about a pension or a retirement. If they're a city or government employee and they retired, 9 times out of 10 they have a pension. Okay, so pensions The key question there, and this gives you a lot of credibility, ask if they elected survivor benefits at the beginning of employment. Survivor benefits are huge. Now, survivor benefits are a big deal, but they're not that big of a deal. And what I mean by that is the most survivor benefit I have ever come across was a 60% survivor benefit. So just to save your morale in the home and to keep things going in your favor so you don't lose control, if he looks at you and you know he's lying because he's in front of his wife and he just goes, yeah, I got the survivor benefit, just go ahead and assume it at 50 or 60%. Just assume it from there, because we know it's not 100, so we know there's going to be a pay cut. So when you're sitting down, just assume, and then you will have people that goes, no, I wish I did, but, I didn't because it was too expensive at the time and we were raising the kids. And you have to relate to these people and say, yeah, that really stinks. I can imagine that would have been a hard thing. If you're not an outgoing person and you don't genuinely care about people, Tim will probably be upset with me, but you need a different job. It's just not going to work for you. It's not a good program.
Not upset.
You have
not
to.
upset at all.
What?
I'm not upset.
I mean, you have to care. You have to care. And so, yes, we need to know Social Security. We need to know whose pension is higher. Whose pension has survivor benefits, and whose don't, because then we're killing income along the way. And we also, I met with the other day a 73-year-old woman and a 69-year-old man, and the man was still working. So in that regard, if he passed away first, there was an extra $1,000 of income that was squashed as well because he was still working. So you have to learn how to strategize and basically kill off the income, kill off the Social Security, and write down and make them see and feel the loss of income in that home. Now, when you want to find out whose income is cut. Now, what is important here is the verbiage on, if you know that Bob had a heart attack 3 years ago, and Mary's not really the one who would benefit the most from the coverage, it would not be wise to just put $100,000 on Mary because they wanted mortgage protection, when if Bob dies, Mary's life insurance isn't going to do her any good. You want to make sure that you recommend the best possible plan for the couple. So at this point, if you find out that Mary says that she couldn't stay if Bob left, if Bob passed before her, Mary says, no, I just couldn't stay here. There's no way. The memories, I would have to move in with my sister, or I'd have to get my own place. If she does say that, what you want to do there is you want to say, well, in this case, I would recommend actually purchasing less insurance. And here's why. And the reason that you do that is not only to gain credibility and gain trust, but you also know that they can't get more insurance. He's not a candidate for the 100, 200,000. So then what you want to do is you want to find out what the income loss would be. And if we keep it simple, let's say it's a loss of $1,000 a month. And then you want to price out what we know as a final expense policy, but you will position it as a critical time period coverage or a mortgage payment protection. And you can kind of fluff that with, well, listen, Bob and Mary, we know that the worst day of Mary's life is going to be when you pass away. Okay, it's not if, and this is not what you say to them. This is me saying this. It's not if, it's when. You have to take command of the situation, and you have to be very, very clear in your words and be confident. And if you don't feel confident, act confident anyway. And you say, when Bob passes away, we're looking at a time period of 2 to 3 years before of the grieving process. I would like to put in place a critical time period mortgage protection plan that just gives you enough mortgage payments to cover that 2 to 3 years. Why cover this entire loan if it's not necessary? We need you to be able to make those mortgage payments so you can get that $100,000 bag in the basement that we just talked about. You need to be able to get the equity out. You would never walk away from a bank account with $100,000 in it. That's insane. Wouldn't you agree, Bob and Mary? Yeah, they would agree. So that positioning is critical to be able to turn a mortgage protection lead into a final expense lead. And again, for any rookies out there, don't ever call the individual that you're sitting at the table with a lead. Okay, that's a really good way to lose a sale. You know, don't sit down and be like, okay, well, you were a mortgage protection lead. Okay, I've had it done before. That's why I'm bringing it up. And so even if, and there are times where no matter if you do a stellar presentation and you knock it out of the park and they're eating out of your hand, there are times, and it happened to me the other day where the person said, yeah, but we wanted to know how much it was going to be to cover the whole mortgage. And that's when I back up and say, well, listen, I made the best professional recommendation that I possibly could have. And then I went to my quote calculator, and I quoted out a $245,000 policy for a 69-year-old man with a 15-year term, and showed them the price, and they jumped back, of course. But they were asking for it. That's what they wanted. And they ended up going with the one that I suggested. I did not lose the sale as a result of that. But, you know, when people kind of get all caught up and they feel like they're about to make a purchase and they want to buy, then they kind of back up. Sometimes they'll back up a little bit and they'll say, you know, wait a second, you were here for this. But I can tell you that that is the exception and not the rule. That does happen sometimes, and you got to be ready for it. And you got to be ready for it, because even though I knew that he really couldn't qualify, I also knew that they weren't going to pay that. I knew their finances. There was no way that they were going to pay $400 and something a month for 15 years and throw it in the trash. And that was basically what they would have done at that point. So, you know, that being said, the other critical component to all of this is if they are older and they are still working, squash the work insurance. Make it insignificant, make it small, make it useless. Let them know that it's not real. Any questions, Tim?
No, my goodness, girl, you're on a roll. This is, I love it. No, I'm hoping that, and guys, this is being recorded, but remember my IT department, we are so far behind there. I pray we can get it up here within the next week. But my goodness, if you're taking your blinders off and key in, you're sitting with folks on a mortgage protection lead. Danielle is doing terrific for exactly what you need to be mimicking and memorizing how she's handling this. Even on a final expense lead, focus on, keep going, Daniel. If you still have some time, you please.
Well, I just want to make sure, too, if there's any questions. That's the other thing, too. I wasn't sure if people were allowed to ask questions. So,
Doug, they are, and I've been handling most of them online, but Doug just asked. Doug's been asking, or has got a good question going. Maybe if you wanted to spend just a few more minutes on how do you defraud the work insurance, or he's asking how do you make work insurance seem like it's not real.
Okay, so when I'm in the the about me stage, or the about you stage rather, and I'm collecting information, because be clear, the more questions that you ask, the more tight your close is going to be. Because if you ask enough questions and you have all, it's like your cake's not going to come out right if you don't have all the ingredients. And I love junk food, so I'm going to use cake. But so and it's not going to come out right if you're missing an ingredient. Because that's the critical thing would be if you slammed it out of the park and then at the end they go, oh, well, I have $200,000 of work insurance, so I don't really need this. Well, so in the beginning, you want to kill that in the beginning. You just want to squash it. So I always ask, first I ask, do you have any coverage that you're paying on outside of work? And then they will respond to that. And then I say, and does your company, organization, or do they offer any coverage? And whatever they say is, a lot of times if they say yes, but I don't know, I will usually follow up with, well, the typical is 1 to 2.5 times your salary. And then I take a step back and I say the reason why I separate those questions there is for a reason. In our industry, work insurance is only referred to as bonus insurance. The reason it's referred to as bonus insurance is because it's not your policy, Bob. If you called right now and said, Bob, this is Bob, and I have my policy, there's no policy with Bob's name on it. It's a group life insurance policy that is, the owner is the company that you work for, and they offer reduced rates, and that's why it's $20 a month or $20 a pay period. It is a good idea to take advantage of it, but it is absolutely not reliable. And that's usually how I squash it. And you can't take it with you, and that's the other thing too, is you can't take it with you. And even if they decide to come back and say that you can take it with, or they can take it with them, you know, it's at a much higher rate. First of all, if they even could take it with them, it's at a much higher rate. One that I'm willing to bet they wouldn't want to pay. And then not only that, but if it is one of the policies that stays after retirement, the around here, the civil service and the military, it's a decreasing benefit that eventually goes down to $25,000 anyway. So it is a constantly decreasing, you know, policy. So it does help you to know your area. Like around here, I have to know civil service benefits. I have to know retired military benefits. I have to know those things to be able to combat these problems.
Very, very good. A follow-up question to that, Kim, was not even follow-up. Kim is asking, I know you've incorporated our fact finder a little bit. Do you still use that in your presentation, or are you just on a yellow pad? Kim's asking.
I actually I incorporate that into the presentation, but it's a little bit more detailed now. I kind of include, you know, medication, dosage, because those things are easy that I do forget sometimes. So I've kind of expounded on it.
Perfect. And Kim, I can get you that fact finder. If you don't have ours, I can send that over to you. And the follow-up question to you had mentioned unreliable. I understand what you mean by that their work insurance is unreliable because of change of employment. You get fired, you can get laid off, so lots of reasons for it to be unreliable. But Doug was kind of asking for that clarification on how is work insurance unreliable.
Yeah, okay, so that's a great question. So, you know, a lot of people say that telling stories sells insurance. I can be a storyteller. Sometimes it depends on the people that I'm sitting with. But, you know, a perfect story would be an individual who relied on work insurance and became sick, went out on short-term disability, which turned into long-term disability. The company is no longer going to pay that life insurance because you're not working there anymore. And if you're sick or hurt and you're out on short or long-term disability, good luck, Chuck, getting new life insurance at that point. Perfect. Especially if it's something terminal or, I mean, most people go out on disability, they don't die. They stay alive. You know, in this day and age, we have so many different, we live in the age of medicine and cures. I mean, these people are living a long time. I mean, how many heart patients do you sit with? How many cancer survivors do you sit with? I mean, that is not the time to be thinking about it when they have to go out on disability. Does that answer the question?
Perfect. Absolutely on it. I love it. Yes.
Any other questions?
I can get you the fact finder. Takesha wants you to send her my fact finder, so I'll send it to her. Shauna is just getting started with us here recently, and. Yep, I will send you the contracting information there, Shauna. Doug said yes, that you answered that thoroughly. Guys, we've just got a few more minutes. Danielle said she was good for a few more minutes when we spoke earlier. So if you've got any other questions, you've got to send them over now. But this is one of the top, and I guess this is such a male-dominated industry. I absolutely love it that we've got several ladies on our team on our phone calls who are killing it and in a good way. I guess that was almost a bad word to use in the insurance business, but we are so fortunate to have to be able to have Danielle, and maybe in a few weeks Danielle is thinking that we'll be able to get Leslie, her top performing agent, on here. That is a tremendous blessing, and put down the barriers. If you've got a female friend or your wife that wants to get involved with this business, just let them plug into our system, and you've got perfect examples of Danielle and of Leslie following mortgage protection. I say our system, whereas it's Danielle is more than capable of running her own system, but yet she still follows a plan every time. Is that fair to say, Danielle, that you follow a plan when you go into whether it's a mortgage protection or final expense? You've got your system down, and you're following that every time. You're not creating it differently.
Yeah, and that's very fair to say. And I can tell you that I don't do it perfect 100% of the time. Nobody does. And if they say they are, they're doing this, they're committing some sort of felony or breaking a law or something, because nobody closes everybody.
Absolutely.
But what I do, but what I do have to share on that is, if you work a system, you can quantify your results. And then not just that, but if you treat everybody like their life depends on you, it's going to be a lot easier. And then not just that too. There was one other thing, I just lost my train of thought. You said something about the system and following it. There are times where I don't follow the system, and I always end up regretting it. Like, I had a lady the other night who worked at HR at Lowe's, and she was in the HR department, so she thought she knew everything about insurance. So we're sitting there, and she goes, "I'll tell you exactly what we need." And she goes, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and says everything that she needs. I show her everything she needs, and I don't close it because I didn't follow the system. You know what I mean?
I do.
It's like I got lured into thinking it was an easy sale, you know? And if somebody's rushing you, you got to slow down. If somebody's rushing you, you got to slow down.
Excellent. Excellent. David, thank you for your comment as far as he knows of a case where a union went on strike, an employee was killed on a tractor. Company group only coverage, it did not pay since no paycheck to deduct the premiums. It happens more than what we really realize, David, but thank you for sharing that.
And use that story. Use that story.
That's good suggestion. You're absolutely right. That is something that we all can use. So as you're using hearing these on these forums, guys, you can use that to, I call it defraud health or your insurance from work. Just don't let them. I always come back and say, buy as much of that as you can, because as long as you die while you're working and it's within the grace period, absolutely, it's going to be the cheapest insurance. But understand what you've got. Let's see. Takesha was asking, and I'll read off Leslie's numbers that you gave me, and if you might know your numbers for maybe this last week and maybe for the month of January. But Takesha, number one agent for Danielle is Leslie Schofield Hilliker, and for this last week she had 13 appointments. Of those 13 appointments, she helped 8 families. Of those 8 families, she wrote 12 applications. Now, those 12 applications, $25,000 worth of premium. For the month, for Leslie, she had 22 appointments. She was able to help 14 families. And she wrote 19 applications. So we can talk about that. Maybe it would definitely be at a different time, but you need to be looking for accidentals, for children applications, for husband and wife applications. So 19 applications on 14 appointments, or in the month of January, $34,756. Would you happen to know your numbers, Danielle? I'm sure I've hit you up, but I know you've got it written down, whether they're in front of you or not.
Leslie is way more organized than I am. But I can tell you that the prior week, without annuities, oh gosh, you know what, I can't, Tim. I don't have it.
That's okay.
But I do want to say something. I do want to say something regarding the numbers that you read for Leslie. It's really important.
Please.
The appointments were the ones that she sat. Because make no mistake, Leslie set at least 20 appointments. So she set 20 appointments, but she actually sat in front of 13 people.
Okay.
So that's really important, because if she were to only have set 13 appointments and she sat all 13 of them, then maybe we need to follow her script.
Okay.
You know? So that's important. You know, the activity, she has the activity.
Absolutely. And remember, guys, 250 dials, no matter if it's on an age lead, a new lead, referrals, 250 dials will yield you $116,000 income. Not going to go into that on this call, but 250 dials a week. And you may be calling one lead 20 times. That's okay. That's 20 dials. 250
Hmm.
dials a week will make you a six-figure income. Shauner was asking if you do you how much are your what's the percentage of your leads to referrals to your income? Are you working off more referrals, or are you still working on leads?
Okay, so I'll answer truthfully, even though it's embarrassing. Um, I need work in the referral area. I get 10 final expense leads a week. I get 10 mortgage protection leads a week, and I'm awful, awful, awful at referrals.
Fair
I'm
enough.
just being honest. It's something I really need to get better at, and it's
I love
so,
that
so
about you. I
silly.
love the honesty, and make sure for those who are on the call, if you don't have my ELF system, emergency list of friends and family, I had 2 weeks ago, two of my four sales came off of that what we think of as a referral, but it's sitting down with your folks and saying, hey, get out your phone. I've got a couple things I need to go over with you. And then just say, okay, the anyhow, if you don't have my emergency list of friends and family, I call it my ELF system. You need to be doing that to get referrals. And on now, listen to what Danielle's saying though. She spends well, let's call it on average about $500 for mortgage protection, about $300 for final expense. I'm not asking you to go spend $800 this next week on your leads. That's
You
40.
don't have to.
Go ahead, go for it. Go for it,
You
Danielle.
know, you don't have to, basically, because every single one of those people on the elf list is a new lead.
Good point. But I wanted to show everybody thinking, wait a minute, if she's spending $800 a week on, and it's not that much, your average lead bill is probably what, somewhere around $600 a week on average, give or take.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. But let's go on the higher side, guys. You know what? Let's go really ridiculous and say it's $1,000 a week. Danielle, with her success, with her acumen that she is this proficient, even if you tell me, anybody on this call, and I'll call you a fibber, who won't spend $50,000 a year if you know you're going to make over $200,000. Let that
Well,
kind of ruminate.
there was one more thing I wanted to say too,
Please,
Tim,
please.
is the higher my lead bill gets, the more profitable I am. And in the beginning, I really didn't want to spend a lot of money on leads. And then, I had enough mentorship that showed me that if I did, I wasn't going to waste them. I was going to dial them. And I picked up something from training recently that I wanted to share with everybody. And it's actually kind of funny, but it's going to help you get to your 250 dials a week even faster. And that's you can call the same lead 5 times in a row, and if they answer and they say, "Why did you just call me 5 times in a row?" Just keep your voice tone exactly the same and say, "Oh, well, my boss says that I have to call, 5 times in 1 week, and I was just trying to get it all out of the way right now. We need to get this information out to you."
Perfect. Absolutely perfect. I mean, you got them on the phone. Why not?
And normally they don't say, "Why did you just call me 5 times in a row?"
Perfect. I love it. I absolutely love it. Shauner comes back and says, it's good to know that, the option is there just to be successful on leads alone. But please, 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 Shauner, don't just stop there. Definitely
Don't. You'll cut
got
money
to.
out of your pocket.
Yes, yes, please don't take that as our stamp of saying, mine and Danielle's stamp as saying, hey, just run with leads. I don't want you to be a lead junkie. You think of junkies and they need something for that survival. Yes, we've all been there, but you will be able to make a much better return on investment if you just take that extra 10 minutes. That's all it is, taking 10 minutes at the end. And my goodness, that's something that each one of us have major areas to grow in. And listen, my goodness, you're listening to one of the elite performers in the nation. bare her soul to you saying, hey, I need to get better in this area. That is just candid honesty there, guys. And I challenge you to be that bold when I have you on this call, because I want each one of you. We are in. I was counting it up, over 40 states again this morning, Danielle. So you're touching a lot of agents' lives, and um, yeah, I want every single one of these agents who are on this call right now to be on this Friday call. Please become an agent who's truly making it happen. We'll look forward to that. Any closing thoughts? You've been so generous with your time.
Um, just feel free to provide my email address to anybody that wants it, and send me questions if you think about it afterwards.
Well, thank you. Okay,
that would be
guys.
really all I would have.
I'm not going to put it out there. You want her email address, then I'll send it to you on a case by case design. But that is extremely generous. Danielle, again, thank you so much, and I'm sure that you guys. Thank you for the comments that I'm hearing, and I am a comment whore. Is that terrible to say? I look for comments to be able to try to make this call and our training webinars as good as what they can be. They can only be as good as when you send it back saying, hey, could you do this? Could you help us in this area? Because I want to see 10 agents over 25,000 in a week. Is that greedy? I call it what you want. But we had 2 this week, and we had 4 over 5 digits this week. I'd like to see at least within the next couple months the top 10 being over 5 digits. So that means you've got to hit 10,000 in a week. Guys, many blessings for you. You go out and make it happen. You know what I'm saying here? I want you to go make it happen for your income. And number 2, I want you to go make it happen for your family, meaning that you're going to bless them not only with income, but you're going to be able to bless them with your presence, because you're going to be more financially free by running 2 or 3 days a week instead of trying to run 5 and 6 and 7 days a week. So you're going to bless your family by making it happen for them. You take care of number 3. The number 3, making it happen, will take care of the first 2. You go make it happen for those families in the field that you help, and then you'll always take care of the first 2. Guys, I am very honored to be able to help it happen in your life. I wish you God's blessing, and have a fantastic weekend. God bless you guys.